Hello, everybody. With the new Descent of Dragons expansion just a few days away, I thought I'd put out my own official card review. So let's get right into it. First, let me explain how I'm going to be rating these cards. So I'm not going to rate these cards by stars or tiers or anything like that. I'm just going to put them in several different categories. The first of which is competitive. And to me, that means the card will be in a tier 1, 2, or 3 deck fairly consistently. So that's my definition of a competitive card. And just below competitive, we have what I would call the fringe cards. These are cards that are sometimes in competitive decks, but alternate in and out of them. So still a good card, but not quite the cream of the crop of the competitive cards. So that's a fringe card. And then below the fringe cards, we have the garbage cards. These cards, you can call them pack filler, you can call them arena cards. These cards will not be in competitive decks consistently at all. So that is the definition of a garbage card. And then below the garbage cards, we have the tech cards. These are cards that are definitely only meta dependent if they'll ever see play. So there's only a few of these, but I thought they deserve their own separate category because they may be in competitive decks later down the line if we can detect against something that's oppressive. And lastly, what I'm looking forward to the most, the meme and combo cards. So there aren't very many of them this expansion, but I'll try to highlight some and give you a few of my thoughts on some of the more special cards of the set. So let's get into it. All right, let's talk about Priest. So from a bird's eye perspective, Priest receives support for several different archetypes. There's a Galakrond build, there's a Dragon build, and there's even some support for more Thief Priest shenanigans. So let's take a closer look at the cards. All right, the first card is a 0-mana spell, Whispers of Evil, and the text is add a lackey to your hand. So at the outset, it looks pretty inconspicuous. It doesn't seem that powerful of a card and doesn't seem like it would be a card that you'd want to typically put in your deck. But you have to look at this card as more of a draw engine type of card for an auctioneer style deck. We have seen those kind of decks be successful recently with Chef Nomi Priest and Mecha'thun Priest. Although I'm not sure Chef Nomi Priest or Mecha'thun Priest are going to be the premier Priest deck this next expansion. It seems like their power level is rather low compared to the new cards that we've received. I don't think it's going to see much play right now, so I'd probably give it the garbage tier rating. But it's one of those cards that always has to be on your radar. If a draw-heavy combo priest becomes viable, this card probably goes in that deck. But right now, I would say that's not going to be the best priest deck in the Descent of Dragons expansion. So for right now, garbage tier. The next card is a 1-mana 1/2 minion, Disciple of Galakrond, with a battle cry, Invoke Galakrond. In this case, that means you receive a random priest minion to your hand. So this card has to be included in every single Galakrond deck because there's only so many invokers for Galakrond. When you upgrade your Galakrond and Priest, it essentially increases the number of minions you destroy on the battle cry with Galakrond. So the question is Galakrond Priest going to be the best Priest deck going forward in the next expansion? And I don't think it will be. The random Priest minions are nice, but the value is just all over the place. There are some really good priest minions and there's some really, really bad minions. So it's really all over the place in terms of how good a random priest minion is. The battle cry for Galakrond is quite strong, destroying enemy minions. It's somewhat similar to what we've seen before with Shadow Reaper Anduin, where it destroyed all minions with 5+ attack. Ultimately, I don't think the Galakrond Priest will be the best priest deck in the Descent of Dragons expansion. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this card a garbage tier rating because I think Dragon Priest will well overtake Galakrond Priest. Next for Priest is their first legendary minion. It's a 3-mana 3/3 Mindflayer something or other. Battlecry, choose an enemy minion, death rattle, summon a new copy of it. This card is somewhat difficult to assess because it's so meta dependent. If it's more of an aggressive meta, this card doesn't generate that much value, but if it's a more mid-rangey control meta, this card generates an insane amount of value. This card has the potential to live in multiple decks. It could maybe go in Dragon Priest, definitely a control priest card, and definitely a thief priest card. So I think at some point this will see competitive play, so I'm going to definitely give it a competitive tag. Alright, next for Priest is a 4-mana 3/6 Dragon, Fate Weaver. Battlecry, if you've invoked twice, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. So Emperor Thorassan's back! And now it's a Priest card! And now it's a Dragon! And now it can only trigger once! And now it has a lofty requirement of invoking twice and has to be in a Galakrond deck! Easy! This is a very, very specific Emperor Thorassan, but I still enjoy the meme and combo potential that this card has to offer, and I'm sure I'll find good use of it at some point. Ultimately, I don't think this card makes it into regular Dragon Priest, because for them it's just a 4-mana 3/6 Dragon, which is still quite good, but I think there's neutral cards that make the cut before this one, so I'm going to give it just the combo meme tag for my fun purposes. The next card for Priest is a 4-mana spell, Grave Ruin. Give a minion Death Rattle, summon 2 copies of this. Wow, we just saw the return of Emperor Thaurissan in a dragon, and now we have Carnivorous Cube in spell form. I think this card can go in a number of decks. It may find its way into Dragon Priest. It definitely goes in Control Priest. It goes in a Death Rattle Resurrect Priest. It goes in Thief Priest. I think it's so powerful that it's definitely competitive in one of those decks for sure. This card is actually somewhat similar to Conjurer's Calling as well, and we all know how powerful that card has been. So I think it's too good to not find a home in a competitive deck. There's too much value generated, so absolutely competitive for Grave Ruin. Also a good combo card potentially, so hopefully we'll find good use for cube and spell form. Alright, next we have a 5 mana 4/5 dragon for Priest, Chrono Breaker. Death Rattle. If you're holding a dragon, deal 3 damage to all enemy minions. So the effect is similar to Duskbreaker, which is one of the most powerful cards we've ever seen. This is more expensive and it's a Death Rattle, so it's not quite on the power level of Duskbreaker, but this easily finds its way into every Dragon Priest deck. This card is a fabulous anti-aggro tool. It also has great synergy with the card we just talked about, Grave Ruin, which we saw in the live stream with Crip. So we know how powerful that can be. I know I personally got tired of seeing Duskbreaker after a while, and I think I'm going to get tired of seeing Chrono Breaker as well, because while it's not quite on that power level, it still goes in every single Dragon Priest deck, and I think that Dragon Priest will be the premier Priest deck in the next expansion. So Chrono Breaker, absolutely competitive, and we're going to be seeing a lot of him. Yikes. Next for Priest is a 5 mana spell, Time Rip. Destroy a minion, invoke Galakrond. So for 5 mana, you get to destroy a minion and you get a random Priest card. Pretty good value, but I still don't think Galakrond Priest will be that successful of a deck going forward because the invoking ability is just too random. It's a value-oriented deck, and what I don't think is going to be an incredibly value-oriented meta. What would be interesting to see is if this card actually makes it into a non-Galakrond deck just as a single target removal, which I don't think is going to happen because Priest still has several good removal options in Shadow Over Pain, Shadow Over Death, Forbidden Words. There's definitely enough Priest removal spells that I think are a step above this one, but it's just kind of a funny idea that a Control Priest might just run it anyway, but I still don't think that's going to happen, and I don't think Galakrond Priest is going to be that great, so I'm going to give this still the garbage tier rating. All right, the big boy, 7 mana Galakrond the Unspeakable. The battle cry is destroy one random enemy minion, and that upgrades as you invoke. And of course, we talked about the hero power already. It's add a random priest minion to your hand. This Galakrond is more value oriented, and the battle cry is nice removal, but ultimately I think Dragon Priest is just the superior version of Priest going forward, and I think Galakrond will drop off pretty quickly after the expansion comes out. So, long live Dragon Priest. This is garbage. And the last card for Priest is another legendary minion, 8 mana 8/8 dragon. Murozond the Infinite. Battle Cry. Play all cards your opponents played last turn. Wow. Immediately, this card reminds me of Tess Greymane from Rogue, but I think this card is actually superior to Tess in that you can decide when you want to play this card and receive all that value your opponent played last turn. So incredibly strong, goes in every Thief Priest deck, goes in every Dragon Priest. It's a terror. Definitely competitive. All right, let's look at the Priest cards one last time. Whispers of Evil is not particularly relevant at the moment, but if a good combo draw engine priest comes about, then that will definitely see play. Disciple of Galakrond is garbage because Galakrond is garbage. Envoy of Lazul is a great value card, may find its way into competitive decks, so it's fringe competitive. Breath of the Infinite I think is one of the weaker dragon cards, but may still make the cut. Mindflayer is great value, and I think will find a home in a competitive deck. Still meta dependent, but still great value. Fate Weaver does not make the cut in Dragon Priest, but a great combo card nonetheless. Grave Ruin, oh boy. I think we're going to see Grave Ruin a lot, so definitely competitive for that one. Chrono Breaker goes in every Dragon Priest, competitive for sure. While Time Rip will be in every Galakrond deck, I don't think we're going to be seeing Galakrond all that much, so garbage tier. As we've already talked about, Galakrond himself, I think, is a nice card, but ultimately Dragon Priest is just far superior to Galakrond Priest. And lastly, Murozond, which will be in every Thief Priest and every Dragon Priest going forward. Incredibly powerful effect. A well-timed Murozond should be able to win you the game. So competitive every single time. So that is Priest. Dragons are coming back. Yay. Appreciate you all watching. Look forward to the next one.